Hey Gipsters, this is Ms. Hall. I am going to start off our chapter book reading today for Mad Scientist, the Franny K. Stein collection by Jim Benton. But first I want you to go ahead and get this page out of your packet. We're going to be answering our 2 questions that go along with our book today. So this is where you're going to answer your questions on the lines, and then you can draw a picture to match your answers. So first let's take a look at the book. So today we are starting Franny K. Stein, Mad Scientist, Fantastic Voyage by Jim Benton. Jim Benton is our author, and our title is going to be Fantastic Voyage. Franny K. Stein, Mad Scientist. I'm trying to get the glare out. Okay. The great thing about chapter books is if you ever stop off, you can always look at your table of contents to help you out know what chapter you're on, what the title of the chapter is, and what page number the chapter starts on. So we are going to be starting with chapter 1 today, Franny's House, on page 1. Chapter 1, Franny's House. The Stein family lived in the pretty pink house with lovely purple shutters down at the end of Daffodil Street. Everything about the house was bright and cheery. Everything, that is, except for the upstairs bedroom with the tiny round window. Behind the window was Franny's room, which was also her laboratory. Even for a mad scientist, Franny's lab was unusual. Her experiments and inventions were far beyond those of your average, everyday mad scientist. In fact, Franny's work was so complicated that she found that she could not do it alone. She had a lab assistant named Igor. Well, he wasn't a pure lab. He was also part poodle, part chihuahua, part beagle, part Spaniard, part shepherd, and possibly part some kind of weaselly thing that probably wasn't even a dog. Franny had been through a lot with Igor, and he had learned a great deal about mad science working with Franny in her laboratory. But Igor was still awfully young, and Franny was still nervous about letting him work on any of the more dangerous projects. Chapter 2. Franny loses face. Franny remembered the time that she was working on a device that would make bite-sized jelly donuts with the press of a button. But Igor got the dimensions wrong, and she wound up filling the entire school with jelly. Then there was that time that Franny was trying to create a beautiful new kind of striped flower by adding the DNA from a tiger to an ordinary houseplant. But Igor read the plans wrong, and the two of them were nearly eaten by a bouquet. And she could never forget when she invented the automatic face scrubber. Igor changed one of the settings, and it pulled Franny's face right off. Luckily, Franny was pretty good at emergency surgery and managed to get her face reattached without too much trouble. Igor could be a real pest sometimes, and Franny's upcoming project was going to be so dangerous that she just could not risk Igor messing things up. Franny knew that there were people who handle pests every day, pests like scorpions, termites, and the very worst of all, her brother. We're going to pause real fast right here to review our first question. So if you're looking at your page from the packet, the first question is, who is Franny's lab assistant and who is the worst pest? So for an answer to number 1, the 2 different questions, you're going to first tell me who is Franny's lab assistant and then who is the worst pest. And then our second question is, who does Franny think why does Franny think her brother is the worst pest? We're going to continue reading to chapter 3 and see why. Chapter 3, Mom Knows Pest. Franny could sneak a rabid warthog into the house without anybody hearing it. She could raise a family of electric eels in the toilet without even ever getting shocked. She could make a clone T-Rex ride a unicycle, but she could not handle her brother, Freddie. Franny noticed that Freddie never really bothered her mom. She should cook and read and change the oil in the car, and Freddie never seemed to be in her way. Franny just knew that if she tried to do any of those things, both Freddie and Igor would bug her like crazy. Franny wondered what sort of brilliant methods her mom was using to restrain Freddie. Perhaps she suspends him over a tank of brat-eating penguins, or encases him in a block of ice. This would also control the body or the odor. She might be using mummification or pickling, or maybe she hides Aunt Edna's glasses and tells her that Freddie is a small, ugly chair. But Franny's mom had used an even simpler, more effective, and more diabolical restraining device that Freddie could ever have imagined. With just the press of a button, this gadget kept Freddie totally out of her way while she worked. And that is the end of chapter 3. So, pausing here, you should now be able to answer who is Freddie's lab assistant and who is the worst pest. And then question 2, why does Franny think her brother's the worst pest? That is for where you infer and you use your background knowledge and the text from the evidence from the text to help answer your question. And you're going to put that on your lines and then draw your pictures to go along with your answers. Okay, after you've finished this, you've completed for your read aloud for Wednesday, which is the 6th. I hope you guys are enjoying your break, and I look forward to reading to you tomorrow.